Hello, everybody, and welcome. Wow, I am peaked like a motherfucker. There we go. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Not Your Normal Nerdcast, aka your favorite talk show stream on Twitch, whether you know it or not. I am James, as I'm sure all of you know. I am joined, as usual, by my illustrious co-host, Mac. Say hello,
Hello.
Mac. And
Hello.
today we have a very special guest, Kayla. Welcome to the show, and tell everyone who you are, what you're famous for.
Hey guys, I'm Kayla RPG. You might know me as a tabletop RPG designer as well as a DM for a ton of shows, including the Shattered Eye for the Soul Bear RPG last year. It's good to be on. This is actually my first talk show that I've been on, so this will be interesting.
Well,
Hell yeah.
I am
First time
glad
forever.
that we could be the first. So, Mac, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, when trying to come up with a topic, I, kind of remembered that there's been a whole thing going on recently about Wizards of the Coast being a not so great company. Doesn't treat a lot of their, minority employees as well as they probably should. And so as a result, a lot of people are kind of migrating away from D&D a little bit. And yeah, I will save my specific thoughts on that for a little bit later. Because I don't want to get soapboxy just yet. But yeah, a lot of people are now beginning to try alternative RPGs that first and foremost are not D&D, but a lot of the games that people are migrating towards are a little bit more versatile and a little less restrictive than D&D.
Okay. So, for those of, I was going to say, for those people who are not paying attention and might not know exactly what's going on, but I will say what I intended to, of those of us who may not know exactly what's going on with WotC, what's some of the stuff that they've been doing?
Kayla, I think you know about this in like a little more specific detail than I do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I also
so
don't want to talk over our wonderful guest the entire time. So
so there's a lot going on. It started last year with Mike Merles, who is a game designer on the team, who was working with some folks for 5e, and one of the playtesters and designers that they reach out to was somebody who I'm not going to name because they have a notorious thing about attacking folks that like call them out on stuff. But they have been known to sexually abuse their cast members on shows and stuff like that, as well as stalking. Yeah. Yeah, and eventually that was brought to light, and a lot of folks were upset because when people brought this to Mike Merles, he kind of made a list of folks that had complained and gave it to this person, who then used it. There's a lot going on if like Mike Merle's like meant to be vindictive or not, and all this stuff, and that's like way too deep for me to get into. But the most recent thing was during a few months ago. I think actually last month as well. There was a post that they made. A WotC, I mean, who they had not only said like, "Hey, we don't condone racism, and we're an inclusive company." But they had somebody on their team who's on Twitter, Dungeon Commander, otherwise known as Orion Black. They are a non-binary a black person who makes amazing work. You should go check them out. Who?
Okay, quick tangent.
Yeah, sorry.
I suddenly feel really stupid. I did not realize that Dungeon Commander and Orion Black were the same person.
I think they are. Yeah.
And I feel very stupid right now because I definitely should have known that.
It's okay.
But yeah, anyway. Yeah, they're super cool. Do awesome work.
Yeah.
But yes,
they came out with a statement that not only was WotC not what they had said they were going to be, but they had met resistance when they tried to show like real change, as well as had people steal their work and make it out to be themselves, and eventually their contract was not renewed. And so they are taking a long hiatus from tabletop RPGs, and they might not even come back from that. And there was also the fact that Mike Merles was supposed to be off the team, and WotC had said that he doesn't work on the team. When a few days later he was introduced back because he was actually just working with their game division for video games and working on the new Baldur's Gate game, and so is now back. So people are upset about that, and so it's led to a lot of like anger and sadness about it, the whole thing, and it's kind of spearheaded a lot of folks coming out online about D&D streams being abusive or creepy or just being otherwise bad, and so a lot of folks are either taking breaks or moving on to new things. Some are still sticking with D&D, and that's okay. But it's just kind of a mess right now. So.
Okay. So, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like there is a metric fuck ton of just garbage happening right now.
Oh yeah, there really is.
Yeah, it's this weird thing because, it's not weird more in the sense that it's kind of sad because I love D&D, and there are a lot of good folks on the team who do have Ryan's back, but like there's not a lot of change from corporate right now. Like there's almost no like nothing of substance. Oh. And there's also their new book that's coming out this year, which features Icewind Dale, that they said was going to be made by a diverse team, but apparently one of the gods in there, and I forget the name, has 3 forms, and she's got an old crone, a fragile damsel, and then an ice avatar that is clearly a womb. Just a womb.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. I think I kind of blocked it out of my mind because honestly, what the fuck?
A womb?
Yeah, like, so
Yeah. Hmm.
the idea is there are three variations of this female ice god. And so there's the crone, there's the young girl, and then there's the womb. And they've even got like uh uh miniature just mock-ups for this too. So
Hmm.
Oh,
And that's
yeah.
drawn a lot of. I mean, clearly that has drawn a lot of criticism from women in gaming.
Mhm.
Both like
Yeah.
cis women and trans women. Who are like, yeah, it's hey wizards, great, thanks. Love to see that, you think that there are three possible portrayals of women,
I'm
in general. We're either maidens or old crones or, you know, baby making machines,
Yeah.
which is gross and dehumanizing.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm just so
so
confused.
super, super weird.
Mm.
Um,
I'm just so confused as like who approved that? Who like I,
yeah,
uh,
Like it's clearly like in the stage of development is it's in. It's like they've said it's done. So somebody had
mhm.
to like check this, like go through all the stuff, and was still like, yeah, sounds good. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that kind of thing. I mean, if it gets to that level, it's clearly
yeah.
gone through multiple people,
Mhm.
and
There's obviously nothing wrong with this. You
well,
know.
yeah.
and I mean this kind of goes back to God, I'm trying to think if it was on Come As You Are or if it was the last episode of the Nerdcast that we did, where it's like
Mhm.
hire people to fucking look over this shit.
Oh
Like
yeah.
just take a goddamn second to just hey, so we're thinking about making this like we've got an old lady version, like a young maiden version, and like get this, we're also thinking like a womb. Because I guarantee you, if they would have had just at least one person in there that had any kind of um,
Hmm.
awareness, is the word I'm going to choose to use, I'm sure that they would have said, I'm sorry, can you fucking stop and just
Yeah.
throw that whole fucking thing out
And it kind
and quit.
of this tells me a lot about like the channels that particular element went through, because I know, like, I mean, not necessarily in a way that I'm like best friends with them, but like I know some game designers who were on the team that produced that. And I know that like, there are like there's a decent number of women on that team. And I know that like if any of them had been presented with the idea, they would have been like, "Hey, uh that's not great. That's not like that idea is not going to fly. Like that's not going to be all right." Um
Yeah, so it's definitely
and
like something in
yeah,
corporate
like
that's
if
doing
they
this.
had
So
been listened to, that idea would have been stopped in its tracks.
yeah,
And you know, I mean, also I feel like it would have been one thing if like that design element had been an isolated thing, but unfortunately, I mean, decisions like that don't take place in a vacuum.
No.
Um, I
yeah,
mean, nothing in game design really takes place in a
mm,
vacuum. Um, but yeah, I mean, if Wizards were not the machine that it is, um,
mm.
I feel like that would have been
See, and
a
that's
completely different issue,
and
but
and that's one
because
thing that I wish we could do. Sorry to like cut you off, but I wish
yeah,
that's something that like we could do is just get somebody from one of
mhm,
these companies on this show to explain what their process is. Like,
yeah,
how exactly do things like this? First of all, how does it get designed? Second of all, who does it go to? Third, how
mhm,
who approves it? And then
yeah.
who
I mean,
approves the approval?
yeah. I mean, I can tell you what I can tell you is that I work with like a small indie game developer. If you guys, if anybody watching follows me at all, you've probably heard me talk about Fraggin' Unicorns. Pretty cool people. But the way that we like come up with and approve ideas, I feel like is probably very different than like how the rest of the game industry does it. We're all in like one little like developer Discord. And anytime one of us comes up with an idea, we're like, hey, I thought of this. And like everybody gets to read it.
Mhm.
Everybody gets to see this idea, providing they're paying attention to the Discord. And everybody comments on it, and everybody's like, oh, this is, here's how I think this would work. Here's what I like about this. Here's what I don't like about it. We do have a lot of here's what I don't like about this idea in the Discord, unfortunately. But it's civil, it's nice for the most part. Nobody's ever like, oh, your idea is stupid. But yeah, like I know that in our in this situation, if all game developing companies worked based on this model, that particular incident that happened with Wizards would definitely not have happened. Because, our ideas are going to everybody, and, we tend to prioritize, like, the feedback of marginalized people.
Yeah, well, and so I'm looking. I went ahead and looked up to see like how many employees WotC has like in their employ, and there's 965 of them. So
wow, that is so many.
Yeah, so I mean, while technically, just like going through that similar process, I don't think would be possible with almost 1,000 people.
It wouldn't.
I feel like maybe just have like a team of 5 people, and I mean, fuck it, call them the fucking sensitivity team, and have people from marginalized or less what is the word I'm thinking of? Viewed less.
So marginalized.
Yeah, I guess that's all the. I guess it's all the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, just like get it from people from marginalized groups to like look over it and just be like, okay, so here's the idea that we have. This is terrible. Take it back and redo it.
Yeah.
It feels to me like that shouldn't be that difficult.
Yeah. I mean, in theory, for Wizards of the Coast, no, it would not be difficult at all. They are a massive company with massive reach. They can absolutely afford to like. They 100% have the resources to like find people who are able to provide commentary on these kinds of issues and reach out to them and pay them for their services. And that's just not a thing that they do.
Which just doesn't make any sense to me. But, So one of the things that we're here to talk about is alternatives. So yeah, let's kind of move away from just continuing to blast WotC for being
I do
terrible.
I do want to get in one other point, which is actually a good segue between these topics. I like, all right, I will be like totally upfront and honest. I don't think there's anything wrong with playing D&D. If you like the system, I mean, if you like the system, if you enjoy the game, like it's something that pretty much everybody in the TTRPG community knows. Which is a blessing and a curse. Like, on one hand, you'll always be able to play it. On the other hand, it's really the only thing that I can find a group for, unless I'm talking to my Shadowrun people or whatever. But, I, like... Yeah. The thing with D&D is that, like... it's not a bad system. It works, but it's designed for like one very specific type of story. And it's really only able to tell that one very specific type of story. And it also rewards one very specific type of conflict resolution. Which I personally don't like. I don't think that D&D is the best at encouraging creative problem solving. And honestly, it could just be the amount of time that I've spent playing it. It could be, the number of horrible groups that I've played it with. I have played D&D with some horrible people, and I've talked about that many times on this stream, and it was not fun. But yeah, like, I'm personally a little bit burnt out on it.
Yeah, and that's my.
I'm just at the point where I don't really find it fun.
Yeah, and that's been my experience too. Is that there's no real system in place in the actual rule book to reward players for not just hitting the enemy with a stick. And whether that stick is a sword, a hammer, or whatever, but you get the point. And that to me is where it's lacking, because and I whenever I run D&D, and like I'm currently coming up with a fantasy campaign that I have planned to run in the D&D system. I already have my own like little RP system of experience that I kind of came up with myself in order to, like, if you're able to conflict or resolve this conflict without martial abilities, then awesome. Everybody gets XP and all this kind of stuff. It may or may not be as much as you would if you killed the thing, but at the very least, you're not going to walk away from it being like, well, shit, there went our fucking XP. We're not going to get a level now.
Yeah.
The fact of, though, that I've got to come up with that myself is, to me, where D&D is lacking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And like, hey, again, if you like D&D, then that's fine. If it works for the kind of story that you want to tell, or if you just want to have a fun game night with friends playing a game that you all already know, then there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, Kayla, I know that you like D&D, and my partner also like still really loves D&D and plays it regularly with a group. And again, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just personally think that in a lot of cases D&D can be restrictive, and because of that, I also hate the stranglehold that it has on the TTRPG industry. That
Same
drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Somebody who I follow on Twitter recently, I don't remember who it was or I would credit them, posted this thread about, they're a game designer, and when they tell people that they're a game designer, everybody's immediate response is, "Oh, so like D&D." And he's like, "Yeah, but it's not like D&D at all, actually."
Yeah, and that's been my experience out in the world, is like, whenever I tell people that, oh yeah, I'm gonna go play like I play L5R every week or every weekend. And anytime that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go play a tabletop game, it's called L5R, and they're just like, oh well, what's that? It's a game with, you roll dice to do things. It's like an Oriental, like samurai game and all that. Oh, so kind of like D&D then. Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, sure, it's kind of like D&D. If that's what it takes for you to understand what I'm talking about, okay.
Yeah, I just hate how the conversation is molded around D&D to such an extent. But yeah, so anyway, because of that, I'm really glad that a lot of people in the community are kind of beginning to branch out and explore other things. So anyway, on that note, obviously we've said that we're going to discuss, alternative systems. Part of the reason that I brought Kayla on the show today is because she is actually running a what's the best way to describe this game? It's I've said it's a D&D alternative. Kayla's running a fantasy game in a setting that she came up with in Cypher system.
I would describe it as kind of like the setting is high fantasy mixed with a small bit of sci-fi, a lot of superhero stuff as well, and kind of conveys my love for like Super Sentai and like Power Rangers and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's all about just exploring, getting cool upgrades, and stuff like that, and fighting big monsters and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
And the cool thing about Cypher system is that it's, first of all, it's geared toward that type of story specifically, because exploration and, finding cool items are two things that it really encourages and rewards. But another cool thing about Cypher that I personally really enjoy is that it's literally, like, it's created to be setting agnostic. You can use it for basically any kind of setting that you want.
Nice.
You can run a high fantasy game in it. You can run a science fiction game. You can run a modern game. Basically,
Apocalypse, horror.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Basically, any kind of setting that you can come up with, you can very easily put into Cypher system with, minimal home brewing of your own.
Nice.
It tells you how to play any type of character. The character creation system is ridiculously broad. It allows you to come up with anything. I know somebody who knows somebody else who created a character in Cypher that is literally Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, that's the thing. For
so
sure.
Yeah, it's super versatile.
Yeah.
I'm
because there's like
also really. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
I was just gonna say really quick. I am personally very excited about the fact that Cypher allows you and even encourages you to create a character who is a werewolf. So, so I'm playing a werewolf.
Yeah, I flipped through the book, saw that, and was like, she's probably gonna take that flip.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great because like yeah. And one of the things about this system, so you start off with essentially 4 classes of sorts. There's the warrior, there's the adept, who is the kind of more like spellcaster. There's the explorer, which could be a rogue, like a SWAT. And then there's one that's called the speaker, which can also be like a spellcaster, but a more charismatic one.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems like very compact. But then you get into the rest of it, which is the descriptor and the focus, which completely changes like how you run your character. There's stuff like you could say I'm a blank adept who blanks, right? And so you can say like I'm a grumpy adept who rides the lightning, and so you can have this like almost storm cloud like spellcaster who shoots lightning and like rides around in storms and stuff, and you can like do. I'm a hasty explorer who who shifts form, and they can be this crafty shapeshifter who can get into like small spaces or like contort and change their face and stuff like that. And there's just so much stuff.
I think the one for the Sonic the Hedgehog that I heard about was like a fast explorer who moves like the wind.
Nice.
Yeah, because like your descript like because your descriptors add and take away things from your character that nobody else in the group can do. Like even if you have like a fast warrior who moves like the wind, is going to be way different than the explorer. So it's super fun. Right now we've got doomed warrior who shifts form.
Doomed warrior who howls at the moon.
Yes,
actually.
yes, who howls at the moon.
Specific build I chose.
There's a mysterious adept who sees beyond. So his thing is he can like see past the veil of life and death and stuff like that. There's I am a calm warrior who doesn't do anything, which is the kind of the slacker of the group, but they also are kind of like a jack of all trades kind of folk. And then we have one that's I'm an inquisitive speaker who delves into mysteries, and so this kind of like well-to-do, charmy kind of detective, like a smooth talker, you know.
Nice.
So it's super fun.
Yeah. All of the characters that we've built are completely different, despite there being some, what is technically class overlap. Actually, I didn't know that Cal was a warrior, and I would literally never have guessed.
Yeah. Because he can fight with his fists, so his thing is he's a bare knuckle, but
yeah,
we
have completely different builds. Xanthe does unarmed as a werewolf, but otherwise, she carries like a massive greatsword and crossbow. So she's very much like your typical warrior build kind of character. But yeah, it's really cool because these characters are really different from anything that I've played or seen played before in a system like D&D.
Yeah, and plus like so this isn't to rag on D&D, but I've been trying to get this type of campaign, this kind of Power Rangers based fantasy game, because I always thought, why aren't there fantasy books with actual like superheroes? Like there's magic, right? And there's like there's magic swords and people can fly and all that, but why are there no actual superheroes? Like it seems like that would fit so well. And I've been playing with Kyra almost a decade now at this point. Like,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like one of those things I always come back to and try to mess with a little bit. And for D&D, like there's certain design things that you need to take into account. Like, okay, so what are the races, like elves, tieflings, dragonborn, all that stuff? Like how do they fit into this world? Which gods have domains and where? Like, where do people get their stuff from? And trying to make new creatures is fine, but it was like always within the system. Like it was like kind of constrained in the box almost. And don't even get me start on trying to make like Zords and like mechs and stuff for that like that for people to use. Like that's just.
I would not.
I have spent about the past 5 years trying to get that to work, and it still is not in a place where I like it. You know.
I would not expect that to work at all for D&D.
Yeah, because there's not a lot of like vehicle combat at all, so there's no basis for like, okay.
D just isn't built for that.
Yeah, but so I picked up this like the Cypher system, just being like, okay, I've heard good things about this, and want to try something new. And what is this about? And it's a system that gets the heck out of the way of like whatever like tale you're trying to tell. The mechanics are there solely for you to tell the story that you want to tell, and not trying to like fit your tale into like a small ball. Like Cypher says, okay, here's some rules and stuff like that. Here's how people roll. Here's how they can make things like easier in game. Go nuts, you know. And it's like in the book it says, hey, we encourage you to like mix and match all sorts of like genres, like have a western like sci-fi, or like a horse like superhero hero game, like all that stuff, and it all works because the rules are not there for you to keep in mind. The rules are there for you to have a basis to spring your ideas off of.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are the mechanics for this game? Like, what kind of dice does it use? Like, what is it? I guess explain the mechanics to me.
Yeah. So, okay, so the only dice that's rolled is a d20, and that's it. And the and so what those are for the most part is to roll a task. And what tasks are essentially like, say you're in D&D and it's like, okay, I want to jump onto this roof. Okay, roll a acrobatics check. Except each task is put into tiers. It goes from 0 to 10. And so what you do is you times the task by 3 to get the number on the dice you need to roll above. So a task 1 is a 3, task 2 is a 6, task 3 is like a 9, and a task 10 is a 30. Okay. However, people have things that they can use to bring that down. So, like, say, if somebody, I say this is going to be and the DM by the way decides like how hard something is. And so so I say this is a task 10, right? It's impossible. What players can do, because you can't roll that high on a 20 sided dice, is that you can have like equipment and skills and all sorts of things that you can say or do help you with the task. So say I do a task 10, it's like you have to cross like a 30-foot gap as like boulders are trying to rain down and the wind is about like 900 miles per hour, you know. And so you're like, okay, I can't do that. That's impossible. But you can have like, okay, so I've got boots of wind running, which help me jump farther. Okay, that moves it down to like a 9, right? It's like I've got friends on the other side who are just are reaching out to pull me in. Okay, base like you can go from like 1 or 2 down from that, so that's a 7 from there. So it's a 21. And then you can have like rope, which brings it down, and yada yada. And you can also spend like not grit points, but uh, but effort if you like really want to get something down. Like you can spend a point and it brings it down by 2, and so you can make it 10 into like a 1 with the system.
Interesting.
It's just about like all the stuff that you have, all your skills, and there's going to be stuff that you fail at, obviously, but it also allows you to take something that seems impossible and makes it to where you can, and it makes for great points in the game. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
I will also say that the group is the only one that rolls. The DM doesn't roll a thing.
Really?
There's no dice for the DM. The monsters and stuff all have like a static like damage and HP, and players roll not only to like hit these things, but also to dodge being hit by one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So each turn of combat, like the players are engaged all the time because they're always trying to roll dice, and combating in this game is quick. It is super quick compared to D&D.
It's
because
a really nice contrast, actually, because there's no, oh, hang on, let me take 5 minutes to, look at my spell book and figure out which spell I want to cast. And you as the GM also don't have to go, okay, hang on, let me look up this guy's modifiers again. Let me figure out, how many, what his armor class is, or how many hit points he's got, or whatever. There's none of that.
Yeah, and it's not like it's like simple to the point where there's like no substance. It's instead the fact that like it's so quick because everyone's invested and knows what's going on, as well as like the fact that as a DM you can make creatures up on the fly and have them work.
Oh,
like yeah, and like you can have like cool stuff like I had them fight 2 cultists, where in D&D I would have had to been like, okay, these are the cultists, here are their stats, here's what spells they have, how many uses per day, blah 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 blah. But in this it's like, oh, I can just have them have a firebolt spell. I can have them have like a mask that like shoots out poison like fang darts,
Nice.
like for like for four damage and stuff like that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I can add stuff to that, like say like if the player like hits below a certain threshold, like it blinds them as well as burns for the turn. So it's a lot of fun stuff, and it took us about 15 minutes to get through combat,
Probably.
as
Yeah.
opposed to like D&D, which would have been like an
An
hour,
That would have taken at
an
least
hour and a half.
that
Yeah.
for, 3 people fighting 2 cultists.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a really cool system, and like I've been kind of in the background here, just like looking at some of the stuff on Cypher, and I've mentioned it once or twice on here, but I'm putting together like that campaign, and there is a distinct possibility that I might be changing systems.
Nice.
Yeah,
Cause
it's great, like, cause
it seems awesome.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, cause I've always with with D&D, and I love D&D. Don't get me wrong. I never felt as free running D&D as I have with Cypher, because I always felt like I had to explain, like, okay, why is there like like magic here, like what kind of spell school is it from, like how does this work, so I can make sure that the players know how.
Yeah,
And in
that's
this,
another
it's
thing.
like it's just like, no, I can just have like a giant ass room the size of the Sistine chapel, made out of like electronic lights and magic and like giant stone statues, and like with a broken door that's got some circuitry, and I don't have to do like, okay, so this projection is from the illusion school, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and like this is made out of like platinum or whatever, like that kind of stuff.
It
Yeah.
also makes
And
investigating your surroundings a hell of a lot less of a pain in the ass, honestly. Because I hate that, D&D's method of, like, exploration.
like pass and fail, kind of.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like a pass fail. It doesn't have to be like D&D. When you're investigating your surroundings, it allows you to ask a very specific set of questions. And like it doesn't make sense for like a skilled magic user to have to cast detect magic anytime they want to analyze the magic around them. If you have been studying magic your whole life, then you'll know that like an illusory projection is clearly from the illusion school of magic, and you don't need a spell to tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I just feel like narratively this kind of thing makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And it feels a lot less restrictive to me as a player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, like, sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead.
It's like, and so with like the pass and fails system in Cypher, in the GM's section states like, hey, if they fail a task, they can still complete the task, but it's in a way that they don't expect it to, and it causes other issues. So it's not just like, no, you just fall down into a pit and you die. Mac's character tried to jump over like a 6-foot gap and failed, but she didn't fall in. Instead, she caught onto the rope that was between the spaces, and
I
so
rolled a 2.
they had to get her off as well as like so.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah, if I had been playing D&D, I would have had to roll a new character in the first fucking
Yeah, because that was
second.
like I would say that's like a 5,000-foot drop that I had that
Yeah,
put
I love
at.
that.
Yeah, it would have been bad. I was like, and
And
plus
that would
like,
have really sucked because I'm already so emotionally invested in Xanthe.
yeah.
I love her so much.
Yeah. It's like it's a thing where like if I had that in a DM like D&D game, like if I just had a pit that had no way out with 5,000 feet of to die, like I would be an asshole. But in this game, I can have that and not be afraid too much of people like falling down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always something there, so. Yeah, and plus, like, sorry, I could gush about this thing for like days. The combat for people,
I mean, that is why we brought you on.
yeah, allows you uh to do whatever you want as an action.
Mhm.
Like, you don't have to be like, okay, I want to jump onto this chandelier, spin and slash at this like floating like specter. Um, that's something that you can just do as opposed to like, okay, make an acrobatics check. Oh, you failed? No, you just fall on the ground, and it's waving above you. Like,
Yeah.
your characters are considered competent enough at what they want to do it.
Mhm.
And so it allows a lot more for people to be less about like, can I do this? And like, instead of like, how do I do this? Like, how am I going to make this cool? How am I going to approach combat? Like,
It gives you
like
a
if
lot
you,
more freedom, which I
hmm
love. Because I personally love telling stories in RPGs in like a very cinematic kind of way.
yeah,
And Cypher is great because it allows me to do that.
hmm
Well, and it looks like too that you like utilizing this system. I mean, you can probably just mix genres just whenever you want to, and like if
oh
you
yeah,
Oh,
like
you
let's
absolutely can.
so let's say that for instance, because one of the big things that I've really gotten frustrated with about D&D is that occasionally I want to incorporate God, I'm trying to think of what the terminology is. Basically, infinite worlds, and where
hmm
they're like whenever you go through a plane, like whenever you're doing like planeswalking or you're going to different
hmm
deals, then there's a possibility that you could end up in a place that is far more technologically advanced than the world that you left. And it seems like with Cypher that you can go from, a fantasy knight bearing a long sword and a shield goes through a plane, and then suddenly he's looking at flying cars and, a starship battle up in space above him.
Hmm.
what sorcery is this?
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And that's absolutely possible to do in
Yeah.
Cypher System.
And it's like it's
Whereas
so
D&D,
easy. Like, you don't have to
mhm.
make new rules and stuff like that. It's just like you can do that on the fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So,
that sounds
If you
that
tried
sounds
to have a
so awesome.
D&D character go into that kind of world, you would have to build the second world from the ground up,
Exactly.
mhm,
and it would
mhm,
just be the biggest pain in the ass.
Yeah.
mhm, mhm,
And I say this from the perspective of somebody who very foolishly tried to homebrew a completely different setting into the D&D 5e system, and I gave up
mhm,
very, very early on because I was like, you know what, this does not fucking work.
Well, and I agree with what Tez is saying in the chat that like it sounds like it's worlds better than D&D, and it sounds like it's a
yeah,
lot it's
Mhm.
a lot more intuitive for whatever it
mhm,
is that you're wanting to do, and
It
it,
absolutely
mhm,
is.
and it really it I mean It really sounds to me like anything that you want to do, you can do, which to me is kind of the point of role-playing games. You know, you
Yeah,
want to
honestly.
create these epic adventures and these fantasy worlds, but a lot of Dungeons and Dragons feels very constraining. And like you had said before, Mac, like you can only tell like certain kinds of stories utilizing that system because that's all that
And-
system really lends itself to.
And to be fair, if you want to tell that kind of story, D&D is great
Yeah.
for it. But D&D is good at the one thing that it does.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
arguably probably the best at the one thing that it does.
Yeah, it's based like hell. It's based on old war games. You know, just kind of shrunken down.
Mhm.
I will say Cypher. If you're a big fan of Crunch, which I can be a lot, 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 a lot of the time, like you're not gonna find that here. Like you're not gonna find like all these like math and stuff like that, and which I'm a huge fan of. Like to be honest, like I love like it's like oh there's a percent chance that my thing could break. It's like oh it broke shit, you know.
Yeah.
It's,
I personally don't like that in a lot of settings. I tolerate it in Shadowrun. Because I actually really like the way that Shadowrun does its crunch. But in most settings like Pathfinder, I cannot fucking handle Pathfinder. I tried to play it once, just could not do it.
Why is it too mathy?
It is too mathy. It was like the way I don't know. It's like the way that Pathfinder is set up. Specifically for a lot of things. It's just there are, okay, I have to add, this bonus and this bonus, and I have to determine whether this bonus factors in, or oh yeah, if I hit this enemy with I'm attacking this enemy with my sword that sometimes does fire damage. Oh, my sword is doing fire damage, so I have to add this like multiplier on top of my damage. Hang on, guys. Give me like 5 minutes to figure out how this is gonna work. Because I don't know how many points of damage I'm doing to this guy.
And then after that 5 minutes
don't
of
wanna have to
checking
do
modifiers, you're like, okay, so I've got all my modifiers. I've got a plus 13 on this. Oh, well, it's raining, right? Well, shit, that negates my entire fire sword. Well, damn it, now I've got to redo the math. Hold on. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't. So I don't like Pathfinder for that reason. I also wouldn't really recommend it as a D&D alternative because, unfortunately, Pathfinder's Paizo has a lot of the same problems that Wizards does. They also were recently talking about releasing a like an adventure supplement where the characters are just fantasy cops.
Yeah.
And didn't pay any thought to how this is not really the socio-political climate in which to release something like that.
And if you would like our in-depth opinions on that, please check out our video on demand of our episode where we covered that.
Yeah.
Which I don't remember the name of the episode because I don't have that up currently. But it's on our VOD.
Yeah.
You can find it.
I will say
sorry. Just I almost forgot. The thing that the cipher is named after is Cyphers, which in the game are things a GM can give to the group that just do things that are cool, and that are usually one-use things like a wand of blasting or like a death charge or and like a drink that I forget. It's like Red Bull. For some reason, I cannot get the name. Energy drink. Yes.
I don't remember what we called it, but I remember you talking about it. It was like it gave you it gave you some kind of like additional energy,
like
so that you
speed
could
kind of
like
thing. Like it
get
helps
a
with
yeah,
your
you could
speed
get a
rolls for
bonus
the
on
next time
speed.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Like and
that's
and
really cool.
and the game is meant to be like, okay, you want to throw these at people so they can use them in like cool ways, like probably makes them all like one use, so they're not like overused, like a bag of holding or
Mhm.
or a a movable trans-dimensional hole that it can like get through walls. It's made so you can have stuff like that, but each combat or like each encounter or uh, each problem can be approached differently,
Mhm.
like each time. So like you can have like wildly different combats based on what you give the group, and you're expected to like give out a whole bunch throughout the game. So it's like raining cool stuff for the group, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mhm.
then there's also GM intrusions, which are my favorite part of the game.
Yeah.
And a GM intrusion is where I can go from just being like, okay, you do that, okay, but suddenly, you know, and I can make things like harder for the group, complicate things, make it like some cool stuff that just happen. But the thing is, like, the group doesn't have to just like take that most of the time, unless you're doomed, which
Which I am.
Xanthi
I
is,
was
which
gonna
allows
mention
me to GM intrude whenever I want with her character.
that. Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but
I
what that does,
specifically took that quality because I was like, oh yeah, this will be a lot of fun for Kayla because she can just push intrusions on me and I can't say no.
the power,
Which
you know,
also, shows you that I trust your GMing.
yeah, which I appreciate, you fool. No, just,
I know that
so
you're not going to do anything shitty.
I know. But the thing is with GM like intrusions, you give XP to the person that you are doing that to.
Hmm.
Um, one XP for them and one for somebody else that they choose, right? And then when there's like like if you have XP and the GM is like, I want to throw this in your face, you can take an XP and say, nope, that does not happen. And you spend that XP, and it's like the GM thing is gone.
Nice.
No muss, no fuss. Like it's just a built-in like no system. Um, and plus, there's the fact that the GM handbook says bring these in, but don't go like too crazy with this. Like do maybe like 3 or 4 or 5 like per session,
Hmm.
unless your group's okay with that, because they stress this isn't about the GM messing with the group in ways that they are just tired of it. It's supposed to be like interesting. It's supposed to bring on new stuff for them to like to think about or deal with. And so it's like your job as the GM is to decide how hard things are and how interesting you want things to be.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it kind of sounds like that. The GM thing is just basically instead of throwing a wrench into their works, you're throwing a rock in front of their wheel. You know,
yeah.
something that can potentially just be noped, but is also it makes it interesting because now they've got to figure out how to get around it, how to get over it, or how to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
It's interesting. I like it. I like
Yeah.
it a lot.
It's really fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Backtracking a little bit, I was going to mention regarding D&D alternatives and crunch.
Mm-hmm.
If you happen to be a player who likes a little more crunch in your games,
Hackmaster? No.
huh?
Hackmaster?
Yes.
The crunchiest of the crunch.
Yeah. I was going to say I haven't played this system myself. I've looked into a little bit about like character creation in it, and just never actually got the chance to play. Uh, Earth Dawn is a system that I've had recommended to me on like multiple occasions. If you've played Shadowrun, it is the fourth world to Shadowrun's sixth world. Although apparently that's not like official, but it is.
It's
Wink.
officially unofficial.
Yeah.
Or unofficially
Yeah.
official.
Something like that. I don't know. I don't work for either company, so I can't officially speak to that. But anyway, so yeah, Earth Dawn. I've heard is a very good system. The world is really really cool. It is, like similar to D&D. It's very like high fantasy. I think that everybody actually has magic to some degree in Earth Dawn's setting. Um, and one thing that I read about it recently, somebody in the Shadowcasters Discord was saying that in Earth Dawn they literally built the world from the ground up, and so all of the dungeons, all of the traps, all of the creatures and dungeons and everything are there in a way that makes sense in universe. There's never just like a random dungeon with a random beholder in it for no real established reason. Um, Everything exists for a reason, and that reason, is always going to come out narratively.
Nice.
Yeah, which I think is really cool. Because a lot of D&D just feels random.
Yeah, that's one of my issues that I kind of take with like D&D and I mean honestly even some video game RPGs where it's like
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
this world has been established and there is a tomb that is
Skyrim.
15 miles outside of town and it's never been explored. You should go see it, explorer. And then you get there and there's all of this gold and all that. And it's like why would nobody else have like explored
Yeah,
this?
really.
Why is there no other
Mm-hmm.
dungeon delvers in any of these worlds? And then you suddenly like on the way there you fight a guy who is just as powerful as you. Why did he not go to that dungeon? Why is he sitting
Yeah.
here like attacking people on the road? Like
If Also, if nobody's ever explored this dungeon, why is there like a random necromancer at the bottom?
like
What
yeah,
is,
it's all
what is he
like
doing here? Where did he
Why
come
did
from?
he take the gold? You know.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, really.
Well, and that's part of the reason why, like, with the setting that I'm coming up with, it's the reason why the world isn't explored is because there was a cataclysm event, and the only country that survived it is the one all the characters are from.
Mm-hmm.
So, at least then I have a narrative reason as to it's like, oh yeah, there's a reason why all of these like ruins haven't been raided because you're the first people to come here in 5,000 years.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
so let's see. I personally don't know any other D&D alternatives other than what we've already talked about, and
I mean, I did come prepared with one other one to talk about,
hit it.
which is, I mean, this one has kind of been at the forefront of a lot of discussion. I know we spent a lot of our time talking about Cypher, but that's just because that's what Kayla and I have experience with.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people who I've seen on Twitter are talking about this one RPG called Quest. You can find it at adventure.game. That is the URL for it, which I actually think is really cool. But Quest is a very rules light, very narrative based tabletop RPG. There are a few different classes that are representative of your typical high fantasy archetypes. There's the fighter, the invoker, the ranger. God, what are the other ones? the Naturalist. I don't know what the rest of them are because I've kind of been clicking through the site and don't have them memorized because I just learned about this game today. But for those of you who like very narratively based games, this is actually, it seems to be even more rules light than Cypher. But the premise of the game is basically if you can think of a thing to do, you are only limited by your imagination. You're limited by what you're able to come up with. And that's about it.
Fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, there is, minimal dice rolling. I think you only need a d20. But, that determines your level of success at anything that you do. All of the, there's no necessarily, like, set difficulty for, tasks that you attempt, but the rolls on the d20 all have, a specific outcome. For example, a 20 is like an extreme success. Like a 17 to 19, you do really well at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. A 1 is a catastrophe, and like a 4 to a 2, I think is a failure, but nothing necessarily horrible happens to you as a result. So yeah, basically, TLDR version on Quest. It's very easily accessible. It's very rules light, and it's very narrative based.
It definitely.
It's specifically designed to be really easy for first time players to grasp.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Is it really looks like that's what it is. It's like it's really designed to be super easy to get into, super easy to like play, and if you're trying to get one of your friends who may not be into D&D who might be interested in it, it seems like a really great game to play. I can't think of anybody that would possibly be interested in anything like that who may be in the chat.
It kind of sounds like you are interested in something like that, or that you do know somebody that who's interested. I don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, yes.
No, there's a few friends that I have that I'm trying to get into D&D, and
oh, okay.
One of them happens to be in the chat right now.
Nice.
Nice.
Tez, we're talking to you, even though you may be a bit too day drunk to comprehend that I'm talking to you.
I don't. Is it even really day drunk at this point? Because it's like 8:30 p.m. there right now.
Sun's still out.
It's still light out. I guess that means it's still an appropriate time to be day drunk.
Yes.
I don't know.
Listen. It is a pandemic right now. People can be day drunk at home if they want. As far as I'm concerned.
There's no such thing as day drunk. It's just it's dealing with the issues of the world.
There's no such thing as time anymore.
Exactly.
Time is fake.
Well, like it's felt like it's been 10,000 years, but also 2 days.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, really though, time is just a concept that we created to figure out when we were going to die. So theoretically, we could just stop following that concept.
And then we won't die ever.
Ever.
We'll
be immortal.
We have ascended past time.
See,
no time.
That is the world that I want to live in.
Society has progressed beyond the need for time.
That is the world I want to live in. That's the world liberals want. Oh man.
Immortality at my grasp.
That's great. So yeah. So what is?
I've actually got some other games. Sorry.
Let me. No, you're perfectly fine. I was just gonna toss the Quest website into the chat because I did that for Cypher.
Also, I don't know if Quest is still doing this, but a while ago they were giving a PDF of their game away for free to public school teachers.
I saw that on
That's
the thingy.
awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, whenever I was
need to
looking
ask-
at it, it said
I
for
need to ask
teachers.
Jess if she got on that, actually, because she is a public school teacher,
Nice.
and that would allow me to get a free PDF of it,
Yep.
because I'm curious about it.
Looks
but-
like all you have to do is email them from your official school email account, and you will reply with the
Ooh.
game in an attachment.
Nice. Well, if there are any
That's
public school
awesome.
teachers in the chat, you can take advantage of that right now.
Hell yeah.
So what other games we got?
All right. Well, oh gosh, there is. So I really love a Burning Wheel, and it's. I would say it's a court intrigue game.
You've already
That
got my
allows
attention.
you. Yeah, it's Victorian or like medieval of fantasy, but it's built for intrigue and court stuff. You know, drama as well.
Super interesting.
Like you can be, and what I love about this system is the way you make characters. It's kind of like Traveler in the fact that you have life paths.
Oh.
And so you can
yes.
start as like you can start out as like
yeah.
a page, then become a priest, then archbishop,
I'm immediately on
like
board.
and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And just all good stuff. And it is fantastic. The game that I played in once with it, because I could only find one group for it because not a lot of people play this game. Which, by the way, people should play more of this game because it's really good. I played a character who was a I would say a good version of Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So he's very much that stern kind of like no nonsense, but with a good heart, which I thought was a nice like twist. And he was a priest, but
I gotta
his
let my cat in.
yeah,
She's yelling
sorry.
outside my door.
But like my character was a priest who was also the uncle of the soon-to-be king at the time. And my character kept getting grilled to try to bring the church in line with the king, which I wasn't really too keen about, because like it sounds like he wanted to turn it into like a puppet, and so like that was super fun.
Nice.
And there's magic as well, but it's more in the form of miracles and stuff like that. And the more magic you do, there's a good chance that you're either gonna become a god or a kind of like a saint and kind of rise to a new plane of existence, and so your character will disappear. So magic is there, but it's really hard to do, and if you do it a lot, it's the system is based to kind of take you out, but in a good way, in a way that you'll kind of become like this like lauded person.
Interesting.
But it's super fun, and I love it. I will say the book is a little bit messy. I will say it's kind of hard to like find where certain things are. But once you get the idea and you make a character, creation is so good in this system. It's one of my favorites.
See, and that's what I've heard about like Traveler. Like you had said that it was similar to Traveler. Is like that's one of the big reasons why I've wanted to play Traveler is just for the character creation, because I've heard it's just so cool.
I have a couple of friends who are playing Traveler right now. They're going to be releasing their game as like an actual play podcast, and I'm very excited for them to get started on that. but he's been having the same problem that I've been having for the past 6 months, in that we just haven't had like the time or the motivation to edit our fucking podcasts. But yeah,
I don't know what that's like at all.
he's yeah. Mm-hmm. But he's been telling me a little bit about their campaign, and every time it's been like, okay, don't tell anybody, because you're not supposed to know, but here's what we've been doing. And it sounds like such a great system, and I want to try it so badly.
It's really good. And plus, there's also a game that I really love, that is a little bit romantic, I would say. It's meant for 2 people. It's called Starcrossed.
Oh yeah, you
Yeah.
told me about that one.
Yeah, and Starcrossed. So the initial idea is it takes like a Jenga like tower, and with like each pull your character does something like sweet and nice or whatever, or there's like this love interest thing between them two. It can be like a mermaid and a knight or whatever, or like a biotic like alien and it's like its host, and like it's a very sweet game. I highly recommend it between like partners and friends. And there's even a online version of it which uses a kind of spreadsheet to like tick off like where like things worked and what didn't, because getting a Jenga tower online seems a little bit too much work.
Right.
But it's really fun
I also
and really
like
sweet.
that alternative because I'm very bad at Jenga.
Yeah. The last game I played of it was with Kiana S, who is a fantastic game designer herself. And she played a knight that was going to slay a dragon, and I played a female dragon who was lonely and needed some company and didn't know how to didn't want to leave her cave because their mate had died like years ago, and they were still mourning about that. And then the game ended with them falling in love and them going on adventures.
Nice.
It was really sweet.
Yeah, so like I just posted the link for that one in the chat as well, and I'm kind of reading over some of it, and it just seems adorable. And I kind of really want to play it, but it's currently sold out.
No.
I mean, it's great that it's sold out because like that means that they're selling a lot of them. But it's also unfortunate that it's sold out because that means I can't buy it right now.
Yeah, I want to try it very badly. So.
It's really fun. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. As far as additional D&D alternatives, I haven't played this one, but I've heard a lot of good things about Fantasy Age. It's a D6
That's a good one
system,
as well.
I believe. I think if it's, let me Google it real quick. If it's the thing that I'm thinking of, I think it's actually based on the Dragon Age tabletop role-playing game.
Is it by Green Ronin?
And I think so. I think it's by Green Ronin. I know that, yes, it is.
Okay.
It is. Yeah, this is the one that was based on the Dragon Age RPG.
Nice.
Which was actually the first RPG that I ever played. That was my introduction to tabletop RPGs. Yeah. I was really into Dragon Age. Still am, but, about 4 years ago I got, like, really seriously into Dragon Age. made a few friends over it, and they invited me to try the tabletop RPG, and I was like, well, I mean, I've never done a tabletop RPG before, but I've heard they're fun, and it's Dragon Age, so yeah, I'll try it. And then I ended up stumbling upon like my new like major hobby that would become
An obsession.
my big thing for years. Yeah.
No, I know that. So
Tons of other good friends based
So-
on that. So
since
awesome.
we were talking about our first experience with tabletop games, my first experience was Legend of the Five Rings, 4th edition.
Oh, really?
Yep, that was the very
Wow.
first RPG that I ever played. And if you are somebody who is trying to get your friends into tabletop RPGs, I highly recommend starting with something much easier. The only reason why it did not turn me off of RPGs in general was because I am stubborn as fuck.
No, gosh, I think the first game I ever played was actually Maid's the Awakening.
Ooh, nice.
Back in
Wow.
in middle school.
You started with that?
Yes. And I was like,
Amazing.
"Oh, this is great."
Mhm.
Even though, God, just look, the system was so. It just.
I think that's the best review for that system I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Like, but I had
I've never played
lot
it.
of
I've never
fun.
played it, but based on what I've heard, that sounds extremely accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played a Time and Wind Wizard
Ooh.
because I was really into the Flash at the time.
Nice.
And all I remember of the game was that my character fell in love with a like feral, wild, I think werewolf girl.
Oh, hell yeah.
And the rest of the group was not about that, so there was like a big PvP fight because like we're kids and we're just it's like meow, but I was like, man, what else is there? And my friends were like, why are you playing that? Play D&D. So I was like, okay. So I played that, and of course I found out they told me that because they only wanted me to DM for them. And so that led me on this path.
Okay, but who
They
among
tricked
us
me
would
into it,
not-
but I do love it though. Yeah.
Who among us would not fall in love with a feral werewolf girl?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was really sweet once you got to know her and she stopped biting you because she didn't know how to socialize.
Once you get past the feral part, she's amazing.
It was just bleeding, just like, she's okay, guys. It's just a hug. It's just a hug.
This is how she shows her affection. It's fine.
It's a love bite.
Yeah.
You currently have a chunk of your neck gone. It's fine. It's
fine. It's okay.
Like she did like the wolf like chomp on the head thing that they do. It's like, Gah. It's like, it's okay. I'm not gonna die. Yeah, the teeth are in my skull, but that's okay.
It's fine. Everything's fine. All of this is fine. All right. Do we have any other alternatives that we wish to discuss?
Mm-hmm.
Not that I can think of.
Good. Call of Cthulhu if you're interested in horror, which is always the go-to for that. Check that out, which are made by some good folks as well. So check it out.
I know that we most of our let me just take a look and see who all's in here currently. 90% of the people that are in this place know about Shadowrun. So
I was gonna say I would encourage.
Never actually played that. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe you should. I was gonna say I would encourage anyone who hasn't already to try Shadowrun. It might be a good idea to start with Shadowrun Anarchy because that is a sort of pared down,
Better.
more rule-light version.
Better. Sorry.
I'm not saying
yeah.
it's better. It is pared down, more rules light, and much easier to learn.
Nice.
I would also recommend 6th edition over 5th because 5th is just, it's so much. It's
a
so
lot.
overwhelming.
It is a lot.
If
you are...
also,
oh, go ahead.
fun story, very, very quick tangent. I built a Technomancer in SR5 for the first time because I've been in horrible Shadowrun withdrawal, and I'm joining Shadowhaven because I need to get my Shadowrun fixed so badly. It took me 2 whole ass days to build her because I have no idea what I'm doing as far as Technomancers go, and there's also like a specific set of rules that you have to follow for Shadowhaven.
Look
With
at
those 2 things combined,
look at my face. Do I look the least bit surprised that it took you 2 days?
No.
Exactly.
You don't.
Because fucking Technomancers.
I know. Also, SR5 character creation in general is just a pain in the ass.
It is a slog.
You
the
want
very
to talk?
first character I built, who was Sergeant Butch, took probably a good 16 hours with help.
Jeez.
And that wasn't even using like all of the source books.
Yeah.
Viper used all the source books. And I was like, man, I can't.
Gosh, if you want to talk about...
finally at like 3 a.m. last night, and I was like, I'm done. I am going to bed.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, Kayla.
Yeah, it's okay. If you want to talk about one of the worst character creation experiences I've ever had, you should check out Hackmaster, which is a system where everything is a table, and the tables have tables and subtables.
Oh, God.
And it took me 3 days to make one character because I had to roll for everything. And I don't mean like, oh, just like background and stuff like that. It's like, no, everything.
Jeez.
Like health, teeth, eyes, nose, height, weight.
Why do you have to roll for that? Why can't your character just look the way you want them to?
Okay, look, so. Because it's Hackmaster and fuck your fun.
I've never played Hackmaster before, and I don't think that I ever will, based on that description.
It is a game of probability and dice brought to the most ridiculously stupid place. And I was in a game of that, and I never want to do it again.
It sounds like a slog. So we brought up Shadowrun. If you are more of into the samurai persuasion, might I recommend the L5R tabletop?
Legend of the Five Rings for
Yes.
the uninitiated.
It is a wonderful samurai game, and let's just say the best game of it that I have ever played. The last thing my character did was kill himself in order to cleanse his honor, and was posthumously allowed into an imperial house.
Oh, wow.
Yep. It was a great honor for my corpse. But it was one of the most fun games that I've ever played in my life.
That's awesome.
Let's see. If you are a Star Wars person, Edge of the Empire is pretty good. I didn't think that I would like the system with its weird throwed-off dice, but I actually kind of really do.
I'm not familiar with that system. I've also heard that Scum and Villainy, obviously Star Wars derived name, is very good for Star Wars. It's also applicable to like other sci-fi, as far as I know. It's based on the Blades in the Dark system, which is my second favorite system that I've ever played.
I'm actually with my L5R group. We're currently talking about doing a Blades in the Dark. So I'm about to get.
I would highly recommend Blades in the Dark. It's so much fun. It's seriously one of the best systems I've ever played.
Nice.
My favorite system that I've ever played is actually not Shadowrun. For those of you who know me, I'm sure that is very surprising to you. It is Cyberpunk Red.
Cyberpunk Red is so good.
If you are into Cyberpunk at all, I cannot recommend Cyberpunk Red enough. It is so good. The combat is a lot of fun. The mechanics, just in general, are
a lot easier than I expected.
They're very straightforward, but not so straightforward as to be like not interesting. I also love to make things hard on myself when I play games, so I decided to choose the Netrunner as my class, which is the most complicated and difficult thing that I could have chosen. And surprisingly, net running is not nearly as difficult as I expected it to be. It's, I had to learn a whole separate skill for my character, because she's the only class who can do it. And, it's, as opposed to, like, the, Matrix stuff in SR5 that I've done, that's like, okay, let me take, like, another hour to, get the Technomancer situated, with whatever the hell they're doing in the Matrix.
Everybody else go get pizza and, like, watch a TV show.
Yeah. In Cyberpunk Red, all of the net running is happening at the exact same time as, like, all the rest of the combat, or, whatever other actions everybody else is doing. And it's very fast paced, it's very quick, it's very straightforward, and it never gets dull, it never gets boring. There's never like, oh, lives in the net again, time to go do whatever for the next 20 minutes.
Time to take a nap.
Yeah, no, I've definitely enjoyed Cyberpunk Red a whole hell of a lot. That could also have to do with the GM and the players.
There's definitely, like, I think the people are definitely a major element of what has made me enjoy Cyberpunk Red as much as I do.
I may be biased though, but unfortunately, our GM isn't currently in the chat, so I can't comment on the fact of that it's been too long since we've played. But whatever.
Oh yeah, no, he's been saying the same thing.
Yeah, no, I know.
He's like, yeah, I just really want to run a game for you guys again, and I'm like, well, why don't you?
It's like we're here.
Like, I mean, he's dealing with his own stuff.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not gonna rag on him too much while he's not here to defend himself.
Yeah, no, it's not fun to rag on your friends when they're not here to hear it. We love you, Palmer.
Also, it just feels mean. Because, like I said, Palmer's not here to defend himself. But yeah.
But so
for those of you who don't know, we love Palmer. He is one of my very best friends. And yeah.
And also kind of one of the best people on the planet.
Oh yeah.
But
he's also just like very normal. He plays humans in like every fantasy game.
But,
hey, there's nothing wrong with that, okay?
At all.
You know what? Here's my soapbox. Here's the real dish.
Part
from
of me,
from
part of me wants to like click on yours and like, there you go. Now you're full screened. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Listen here, chat. Listen here, everybody who has like I play humans. Oh, there I am. Hello. I play humans all the time, and every game I'm in, whether they mean to or not, the group makes fun of the character for being human. It's just like, oh, you can't see in the dark. Oh, you can't fly like I can. Oh, you don't have innate spell casting? Oh, what are you? It's like, oh, you live to be like 75. ugh, you know, and it's just like, listen, don't let anybody tell you that you cannot make an interesting character without having them have like giant horns or like fire coming out of their butt. Okay, your character is how you make it.
I mean,
Humans are people too.
you can absolutely still make an interesting character who is human, but also, here's my perspective as someone who never fucking plays humans.
Are we?
I'm a human
Hold on,
in real
hold on,
life.
hold on. Are we putting you on a soapbox? Is that what we're doing
No,
now?
we don't need to.
Okay,
We
because
don't need to.
I'll full
This is
screen
gonna
you.
take
I don't
me-
mind.
This is gonna take me like a minute. You asking me if you want to put me on a soapbox is going to take longer than me making my actual point that I want to make. I am a human in real life already. I know what it's like to be a human. Every day I wake up and I am a human. I want to not be a human anymore. That's my perspective. If I'm gonna play a fun escapist fantasy game where I can be not a human, I am going to not be a human.
100 times out of
understand.
100.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with playing humans. There is nothing wrong with not playing humans.
Stop making fun of us. That's all I ask. It's like,
I'm
yes,
not
we need a
making fun of-
torch to
I'm
see
not
in the
making
dark.
fun of
Leave me
humans.
alone.
I'm not making fun of humans as a group. I'm making fun of Palmer for always playing humans.
All right. So, any other alternative games for the folks out there?
Not that I can
think of right now that I've played. Yeah, I think I got it. Yeah, that's all.
All right, dope. Final thoughts. Let's get these out of the way. Because I always start with Mac, I'm not going to. Kayla, what are your final thoughts?
Oh,
Oh,
well, thank you.
it's cold. My final thoughts are like, oh,
switch it up a bit.
my final thoughts are, I guess, just to the chat and those who are who are either watching or listening at a later time. Like TRPGs, there's so many of them, and don't feel like you have to like play only one your entire life. Like, just branch out, see what's there. Like, and if you're like a passionate game designer who wants to make their name, it behooves you to try out new things from new systems and see what you like and what you don't like. I guarantee it's going to make you a lot better at what you do, and you're going to like your job a lot more. So that's all I got.
Nice. All right, Mac, you're up.
Yeah. Oh man, I thought of a specific thing that I was gonna say, and then it just disappeared. Yeah. So regarding D&D, there's nothing wrong with playing it if you want to continue playing it. That's great. That's fine. If that's what you like, go for it. That said, I think it's important to recognize that D&D is not really a universal storytelling tool. It's not the best RPG for everything that you might want to do in an RPG. In my opinion, there's never anything wrong with checking out other systems and branching out a little bit. If there are specific things that you'd like to try in an RPG, and you don't necessarily know like what is the most conducive system for that, go ahead and send me a message. Just give me a shout out on Twitter or on Discord or whatever. If you're in the Riot House Discord, just at Mac, hey, what kind of RPG should I play if I want to do XYZ? And I will answer that question for you. I'm sure there are tons of other people who would be, also available to answer that kind of question for you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like Kayla said, don't be afraid to try new systems. Definitely check other things out.
So my final thoughts are kind of just a reiteration of everything else that everybody else said. Great minds and all that. My biggest thing is just play games. I mean, D&D is the behemoth. It's the Leviathan out there that everybody knows about and that everybody plays. But there's so many other games out there that are just so amazing and that are made by really, really great developers and are made by a whole bunch of really, really passionate people. And the best part about some of these like smaller, kind of more indie titles is you can actually directly talk with the people who have created them. You can actually, shout them out on Twitter, be like, "Hey, I just picked up your game, and can I pick your brain or something?" And some of them will actually respond to you and be more than happy to.
Oh yeah.
And expanding your horizons is never a bad thing. Because if there is something that you want to do, there's a game out there for you. No matter what you're wanting to do, no matter what kind of character you're wanting to play, no matter what your escapism is, there is always some kind of tabletop game that you can play where you can be that person. And you can be that entity.
Mm-hmm.
So, we have a great hobby, and it's one of the few where anything literally is possible. So, get out there, check out indie developers, because WotC and Paizo aren't the only games in town.
Mm-hmm. And actually, to tack onto that really quickly, getting into smaller games has so many benefits beyond that, actually. Beyond even just finding, something that's more conducive to the kind of story you want to tell. You can talk to the developers, like James said, but with a lot of smaller games also have like really incredible communities.
Passionate
And
communities.
oh yeah, super passionate. That is actually one of the things that drew me to Shadowrun. Is I started playing it. I actually started playing it with like the worst group ever, and I somehow was not completely turned off by playing with horrible people, and eventually got really plugged into the Shadowrun community on Twitter. Eventually, I started making friends with some of the people who wrote for it, and I made friends with so many people based on our mutual interest in the game. I met James, I met Palmer, I've met Opti, I've met so many other amazing people, and that led to me meeting and partying with like all of the writers and the devs at Gen Con, which was amazing. And a ton of fun, and I don't remember half of what happened because I drank so much scotch, but it was just a great time, and I've met so many cool people, and now I work in game design because of these connections that I've made. So yeah, wild. But all of that is to say, TLDR version. If you branch out and if you get plugged into other additional games, it could lead to some really fun and incredible stuff happening.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So I think that's going to wrap us. Kayla, do me a huge favor. Tell everybody where to find you, what you do, and pitch your stuff.
Well, they can find me in my house, but I ain't gonna tell you where. You'll never take me alive.
Give
but
us your address, Kayla.
No, never. I know you work for the cult. But you can find me online at Koros RPG on Twitter.com. That's COROS RPG. I'm taking a little bit of a hiatus from that, mostly just because of all the things going on in TRPG space right now, which can be a little bit hectic, not gonna lie. But I also stream from time to time, and my stream is twitch.tv Koros RPG, and I stream RPGs as well as like hack and slash games and I'm currently really into roguelikes at the moment, and Metroid Vania games. I just picked up Hollow Knight. That's been
just going
interesting.
to ask if you'd played Hollow Knight.
I know, and it's like
is-
it's so cute, but it's also
Jess is
so
obsessed.
sad. It's so sad.
I tried to start it. I
Yeah.
am not good at that kind of game, so
Yeah,
I
it's okay.
ended up putting it down
Yeah.
pretty quickly afterward. But
Mhm.
Jess absolutely loves it.
Yeah, I'm also playing like Bloodstained, which is super good. It's made by the guy that made like Symphony of the Night for Castlevania. I'm playing Dead Cells, and I'm also playing Hades, which is in early access right now. But it, as far as I can tell, is a completely complete game.
Hades is by Supergiant, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, and I love it. And that's gonna have a full release out in the next few months. So be sure to check that out.
Sorry, what?
Oh.
Kayla's talking about Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
Jess heard me talking about Hollow Knight, and she's like, "What?"
She kicks in the door. What the fuck y'all talking about?
Hollow Knight.
All right, cool. Well, Kayla, thank you very much for joining us.
I have
my
something
pleasure.
to plug.
Oh, you do have something to plug, don't you?
Yes, I have a couple of things to plug.
All right, well, plug away.
Yeah. First of all, hi, I'm Mac. You've heard me talk for this entire stream, so you know who I am. But I work as kind of a developer with Fragging Unicorns Games. I don't know why I said kind of, because I'm definitely a developer. Just not on their current project, which is on a Kickstarter right now. We are like, I think we're 400% funded still, or a little over 400%. But if you're into like skirmish type war games, we have a project out right now that is kind of it's been described as like if Shadowrun and Necromunda got together and had a baby, and it was incredible. So yeah, that's out right now. It's on a Kickstarter. Go check it out. Go give us money. Go like our Facebook page if you're on Facebook, which I ask specifically because once we get to 700 likes, we can release the anthology that has one of my stories in it.
Nice.
So yeah, we're very excited about that. Go check us out. And also, I stream RPGs as well. Sometimes I stream on twitch.tv/macchiato. I've been in the chat, so you can find my name in the chat. I'm currently playing Fallout New Vegas, which has been a lot of fun. I'm also planning on playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, because Kayla bought me the game, and I'm like, well, now I feel morally obligated to stream it, so Kayla can watch me play. But the main thing that I want to plug is tomorrow I will be streaming Apocalypse World on the Shadowcasters YouTube. I'm running the campaign, and it's a ton of fun. It is post-apocalyptic cyberpunk on Mars.
Nice.
And yeah, we have a great group. We have a great setting, and we're all having just a ton of so yeah, that's happening at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow.
All right.
Yes.
Well,
I totally should have scripted that out because I was super awkward about that. But anyway,
we don't do scripts here.
Yeah, we don't.
But what were these for? Like, I mean, I had this whole thing.
Don't
run on.
Put it away.
I'm sorry.
But anyway, so thank you everybody for joining us this evening. We greatly appreciate you. Thank you, Macchiato, for subscribing again.
That's me. That's me.
Looks
I'm
like
Macchiato.
you're at 3 months.
I am at 3 months.
Koros RPG, thank you very much for being our 100th follower. That is super awesome. We have finally hit 100 followers. I would like to thank the Academy because you like us. You really like us. But yeah, we have been Riot House. This has been Not Your Normal Nerdcast. I think I'm gonna try to do a raid on somebody. It'll probably be D-Tune, just because I really like D-Tune a lot.
Okay.
And D-Tune also interacts with this chat pretty reg. So I think we're gonna raid them. But I've been James, and that's that person right there. That one right there has been Mac, and that one has been Kayla. And we love you. You're important. And you're worth it. I knew the sneeze was coming! Yes!
I'm sorry. No.
Yes! That's why I've been wasting all this time, because you've been talking about that sneeze since the beginning. Yes!
Oh gosh.
We got it!
No.
And now we can go because Kayla's finally sneezed.
Exactly.
I can't show my face anymore. I've been holding that in for 2 hours.
Anyway, you are loved, you are worthy, you are important. And we will see all of you next time. Tomorrow Mac's streaming. Big Mac is streaming, and Thursday I'm streaming games too. So anyway,
But don't watch him. Watch me.
We might actually just go ahead and host you. So anyway, bye guys.
Oh, nice.
Bye.
And
also, you can't